Hello, everyone. I'm Archana Kulkarni, and I welcome you to the special edition of SheThePeople.tv's Women Writers Fest. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, I'm delighted to be in conversation with Preeti Shenoy, one of India's best-selling and most popular authors. Among other things, we will be talking about her new book, The Magic Mindset: How to Find Your Happy Place. I'm already excited about it because it has been very challenging to do so in these times. Let me take you through a short introduction. Preeti Shenoy, among the highest selling authors in India, is on the Forbes long list of the most influential celebrities in India. Her books include When Love Came Calling, Wake Up, Life is Calling, Life is What You Make It, The Rule Breakers, A Hundred Little Flames, It's All in the Planets, Why We Love the Way We Do, The Secret Wish List, The One You Cannot Have, and many others. Her work has been translated into many Indian languages. Preeti is also a motivational speaker and has given talks in many premier educational institutions and corporate organizations like KPMG, ISRO, Infosys, Accenture, and others. An avid fitness enthusiast, she is also an artist specializing in portraiture and illustrated journals. Preeti, welcome to the Women Writers Fest. It's a pleasure to be chatting with you, and I'm expecting a lot of magic to happen. Thank you
Wonderful
for
to be
joining
here.
us. Yes,
Wonderful to be here.
yes,
I only
yes.
wish it was in person.
Yes, oh, I wish so too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Now, in the last year and a half, Preeti, when the pandemic upended things worldwide, you actually started writing a series of blog posts called 21 Days of Positivity. How did you even manage to write these posts in the midst of such uncertainty and such anxiety?
So I think sometimes I think it's in the times of uncertainty and anxiety that you need an anchor to hold on to, an anchor that can kind of guide you, that can kind of show you the way. And to be honest, when the lockdown started, I thought it will only be for 21 days. And I have done blog marathons before where I blog consecutively for 30 days. So I do that as a challenge. So I said, this is no different from a blog marathon. So I'll just start this blog post and I will not talk about the pandemic because everywhere it was just this pandemic,
Yeah.
pandemic, and pandemic. So I would write about anything that caught my fancy, maybe a TV show I watched, something I read, some other thoughts, all of that, and people started waiting for it. So and then if I didn't blog, they would say, "Oh, have you published? Why haven't you published?" So that itself was motivation for me to keep going on, and that's how I started the 21 days of positivity.
Okay, wonderful. And you have shared that your father's passing away, in fact, left you bereft for a very long time. And eventually, of course, you reached a point where you felt that one can deal with the harshest of life's blows. But how did you create this mindset? What did you do?
So, to be honest, at that time, I was not thinking about a mindset at all. I was just coping in the best way that I knew how to cope because I lost him way back in 2006. But for
Yes,
anyone dealing with grief, I can tell you one thing: the pain never goes away. You just learn
yes,
to, manage it better, and you learn to go about your daily life. But every happy memory is going to be tinged with sadness from now on, and that's something you have to accept. So honestly, I wasn't thinking about a mindset at all. But when
okay,
I started writing the book, I realized that so many lessons which he, taught me, not taught, not like a classroom where I sit and he
yes,
teaches. It's
yes,
not that way. But a lot of things that he had passed on to me were coming naturally to me, and I realized that that's what I had used, ironically, when he had passed away too. So that's
okay,
how the magic mindset came about. So it
okay.
wasn't
So,
conscious.
sorry, go on, go on.
Yeah, it wasn't conscious at all. It was just that it so happened I coped, and later I realized, oh, how did I cope with such a big tragedy? Because he just
Hmm.
passed away in the middle of a conversation just like that. He was supposed to visit
Yes,
me a week later, and he was
yes,
someone I was very close to. So then
yes,
later
yes.
when I sat and thought about it, I realized inadvertently and ironically I'm using exactly what he taught me. So, and I've
Okay.
shared all of that in the book.
Yes, yes. In fact, you have been writing fiction all along, and your new book, The Magic Mindset, is a self help book. Now, that's
Yes.
a shift. That's a shift, isn't it? Had you ever
Yes.
considered writing a non-fiction book ever? And did you have any apprehensions when you wrote this? And what made you, uh, write this book?
So, to be honest, this is not actually my first nonfiction. My
Okay,
first itself was creative nonfiction because they were all true incidents from my life. That
okay,
book is
okay,
now republished as Love a Little Stronger. Then I used to also write for the Financial Chronicle. I used to write a
okay,
column called Sex and the City, which later was called A Slice of Life. So I
okay,
have published another book called Why We Love the Way We Do, which is a
okay,
compilation of my newspaper columns.
okay,
So
okay.
actually, this was my third nonfiction, but it's my first self help. And to be
Yes,
honest, Archana, when I was writing it, I did not think, oh, this is going to be published, this is going to be self help. I didn't think any of that. I just
okay,
wrote it
okay.
because it was more like a legacy kind of a thing which I was leaving for my children. I said, if something happens to me, I want them
Yes.
to have this wisdom. I want them
Oh,
to what I followed. So I wrote it more like
oh,
that, you know. So it's like
okay,
it's
okay.
because it's like a friend sitting in front of you and telling you that, hey, this is what worked for me, this is what didn't work for me, this is what I did, maybe you can do this. So and then it just took the form of a self-help. And I did not even think of a genre because I just wanted people to feel good. I wanted to make people feel better. And it was overwhelming because I was getting so many messages saying that whatever advice you share, whatever tips you share, it's helping us so much. So it was quite overwhelming to think. So I just put it all down in a book, you know, and I asked
Okay.
on my Instagram that they said, oh, people told me saying you make it look so easy to be positive. So it's not easy at all. It's like hard for me too. But then they start asking me questions, and when I replied to them, I discovered that my replies were growing longer and longer. And they requested me to put it all in a book. So it was a combination of all that. I want to leave something for my children. My readers were asking me stuff, and I wrote, and this book just took shape magically.
So it was like a very organic growth, right? And
Yeah.
in fact, what struck me about the book is the title of the very first chapter, where it says the trouble with positivity, because I
Yeah.
know how sometimes it can get very nauseating, when people say, oh, you have to always be positive, which is not
Yeah.
possible, which is not possible. And you've
Yeah.
acknowledged that in the very first chapter. So
Yes.
then, how can creating this magic mindset that you talk about give us a more realistic view? How do you then, turn to positivity?
Yeah, so that's what I have a problem with the word positivity itself because
Yes,
you know, how is it possible to be positive if someone has died, someone close to you has
yes,
died, or you've lost a job, or you're bankrupt? I mean, then the word positivity itself becomes an irritant. But there
yes.
are certain small steps that you can take to make yourself feel better. And the first thing is understanding that your mindset can change reality. So I have given so many examples. I have given the famous Ellen Langer experiment, which not many people know about, where the group of
Mhm.
70-year-old men, you know, it was conducted in Harvard by the
Yes.
scientist Ellen Langer. So they were all taken to this room, and when they came, all their parameters were checked, their blood pressure, all of it was checked, and then they recreated an atmosphere like it was the 1950s, which is when these men were in the prime of their youth. So everything, the televisions were black and white, and they were told to pretend that it was the 1950s. So the conversations, they said, you know, you have to talk about Fidel Castro and things that were important at that time. So this entire reality was recreated. And at the end of the experiment, when they actually did the testing again, they found that there was such a massive difference. A person who had come in on wheelchair was seen playing football. So look at the
Wonderful.
influence. Yeah, look at the influence your thoughts can have on you. As
Yes.
it's what is in our mind. I have shared another story of Graham, who had an automobile accident and he had the locked-in syndrome. Doctors said he'll never move, and you know, a lot of people with that syndrome never move. But Graham
Yes.
refused to give up, and initially all he could do was move his little toe. Okay, and he focused on that. Initially, all he could do was breathe. So he focused on that, and then slowly, after 3 months, he could move his little toe. He focused on that, and lot of things like that, which kind of, and now he even races cars. So it's astounding to think what your mindset can do. So once we accept that our mindset can change our reality, we can take little steps, because it's not possible to suddenly become positive when something big has happened to you. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
and that's what magic mindset does. It gives you these little steps that you can take to reach from, say, here to here and improve your life.
Yes. In fact, your book carries exercises at the end of each chapter, and I know that you talk from experience, and I can see that you've read and practiced a lot. So,
Yes.
what made you include these? What do you hope to achieve through them?
Yeah, so I just want to show the viewers the exercises.
Hmm.
So this is how they appear. So
Yes. Yes.
what? So it's this little thing, because see, the thing is, Archana, all of our problems are different. There is simply no one size fits all. So even if it's the same problem that I face and you have the exact same problem, the way you see it might be completely different from how I see it and how I
Yes.
feel. Our
True.
intensity of this might be different. So I said, I want the reader to have an experience which is very personal to them, and I
Yes.
want this to be of use to them. And see, what a therapist does is that a therapist asks questions and a therapist gives answers. So I wanted this book to kind of take the place of that. So that is how
Yes.
I came up with the exercises. I said
Okay.
it needs a little reflection. See, many self-help books, they give the theory and you just read it and you just move on and you forget about it. But when
Yes.
you think about it and when you write it down, that's when it's really going to help you. And when you come back to it a few years from now, you will see that your answers have changed based on your age, based on your circumstances, based on what you've gone through. And at the same time, I know there are a lot of people who don't like writing, because I'm a writer, I love writing, I might sit and write. So I wanted it
Yes.
to be of use to everybody. So the exercises are such that you can even answer it in a single sentence or a single word. But that word might jot your memory, because our memories are so fragile. We forget
True.
so quick. So
True.
that's how I came up with the exercises.
And it's sort of off the mind and on the paper and gets gets more clarity, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I you have mentioned that you learned how to read tarot cards, and
Yeah.
you also realize that it's very interesting to note that when you did readings for family and friends, you realize that most people have questions about either their finances or their health or their relationships. Now, in a
Yeah.
lot of your books, people have mentioned that you talk about relationships, and
Yeah.
I read a headline somewhere where it said Preeti Shenoy has cracked the code. So have you?
That's what people tell me. That's what people say, that I have cracked the code. But the tarot card reading happened only. I learned to read the tarot only about a year back, and I was writing long before that. So I was always writing on relationships, on families, on a slice of life, because my books were never really. They were not really love stories. I do have a problem when people say love stories, because it's so much more than that. Because
Yes,
somehow this, unfortunately, with the flood of books in the market, love stories means boy meets girl, campus romance.
yes,
My
yes.
books are not like that at all. So it's more like a slice of life. So have I cracked the code? I really don't know. My readers say they have, newspapers proclaim they have. So I'm grateful and happy, and I'll take it. If I get praise, I'll take it. So
Okay. Okay. But it was not always like this. You had faced 39 rejections before your first book
yes,
was published. And on
yes,
one occasion, I believe you had a bad experience where when you'd gone to present your book, the person didn't even look up at you, look up.
yeah,
And that must have been, as if a person, you just cancel a person by not even acknowledging the person's presence. And
yeah,
so rejection, rudeness can be extreme dampeners. I know that it happened
yeah,
a very long time ago, but it can make or break a person. So I want to
yeah.
know what held you together. What did you tell yourself? How did you get over this?
It
I mean,
was
it could have
really
been a setback for somebody else, but you didn't allow that to
no.
happen.
No, because while on the externally, I might look very sweet and kind and all that. I'm a born fighter. I will not give up. If someone slights me like that, I'll show it. I'll prove it to them. So honestly, that's what kept me going. It's like, how can you treat me this way? I will
Yes,
show it if I have this thing. So it was that internal battle within me. It's like, no, don't take me lightly. I have something to say, and I think the basic thing one can do even after one is successful is be kind. And my
yes,
father always
yes.
told, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. and I
Yes.
follow it to this day. I acknowledge every message as much as I can. Sometimes I might forget, but it's not to belittle somebody, or as much as I humanly can, I do. And I think
Yes.
that's very important, and it's so important to fight. It's so important to fight. Don't let these setbacks be a dampener. Why should you? Like, it's just somebody else's opinion, so why should you get affected? If
Yes.
you get affected, you'll never be able to write. Because I always say this, writing is like standing naked in front of a room full of people and having them pass all kinds of remarks. So if
Yes.
you're going to let that affect you, you are not going to be able to write. So you should not bother about what people say. Don't worry. Like, if you have a goal, focus on the goal. And if it is giving you joy, focus on it steadfastly. And trust me, you will achieve whatever your goal is.
More power to you, Preeti. More power to you. You are a big believer in the law of attraction, and you're also huge
Yeah,
on gratitude. And I
yeah,
know you
yeah.
maintain journals, but do you have a separate gratitude journal? And you also talked about the importance of writing morning pages in this book. Okay. So, do you still write morning pages, and how has this practice of journaling impacted your life and your work?
I definitely feel journaling has changed my life. So for some time, I put the I practiced the gratitude journal, but then I realized every day writing in the gratitude journal, it just became very monotonous. So then I realized that you have to do what works for you. So all these journals that you see here are everything that I have filled up. I have two, three
Hmm.
journals. I have an illustrated journal. I have a daily journal where I write my day, and I'm a huge, huge, huge believer in the power of manifestation because it has worked for me. I am leading the life of my dreams. I never thought in my wildest dream that I would be
How
able to
wonderful.
achieve it. It works. It absolutely works. And I have shared all of that in the magic mindset. I have shared what worked, what didn't work. And whenever something nice happened to me, when I manifested something, I would tell my friends. But the thing is, they didn't believe in it. So if you don't believe in it, how can you achieve it? It's like,
Yes.
if you can't see it in your mind, how can you hold it in your hand? You can't. So that's the catch 22 of manifestation.
Yes.
But the
Yes.
book isn't about manifestation, because for many people it's like telling them to lift a 100 kg weight when they have not even done a 5 kg dumbbell. So maybe
Yes.
this book is more like a roadmap, like a guide to get to where you want. So it outlines small steps that you can take. For example, money. A lot of people have trouble manifesting money. So I have given those exercises which actually make you see how much you already have. Because a lot of
Yes.
people don't see how much they have, Archana. They'll just focus
Yes.
on, oh my
Yes.
God, this is not happening, this is not. But what
True.
about what you already have? So that's I feel important.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that. You have come a long way from being a blogger who wrote anonymously. In fact, you said even hesitantly and fearfully to become one of India's largest selling and most popular authors. Now, what do you attribute your success to apart from your storytelling skills? And how did you create this magic? Because I remember you saying that you were even scared to put a picture there and you put a pixelated, one with people which was a pixelated one because you didn't want to come out that early. You want that confidence. And look at
Yeah.
you. Look at where you are today. So, what obviously it's a lot of hard work, but let us know the secret. What is the magic?
Yeah, so that's what you said was right. So initially, like, people wanted to see who I was. So I was scared because this was back in 2006. So I didn't know what are people going to do with my information. So I put actually a picture of my feet in. I said, if they want to see me, look
Okay.
at my feet. Which is hilarious now, but at that time I thought, okay, fine, I have to put some picture. People are asking me. So, what is the reason? I think it's that I'm very determined, and I think it's because my books have an emotional connect. Honestly, because when someone reads my book, they feel deeply. They are emotionally affected. It inspires them. It makes them feel something. They're able to relate to the characters, because people tell me that in Secret Wishlist, lot
Yes.
of Indian housewives wrote to me saying it felt like you got inside my head and written my story. How did you know this? So I think it's an emotional connect. Then they want their friends to read, so they go tell their friends to read the book, because a book, it might have the greatest literary merit, but if it doesn't make you feel something, then you're not going to recommend that book to somebody else.
Got
So
it.
and
Yes.
also I think it's I think it's discipline because I have written 14 books. This is my 14th book now. So sometimes I look back and I say, oh my God, how did I manage this? But then I realized it's only little by little by little. When you look at it, it just seems big.
Yes.
But then
Yes.
I was like doing little on a daily basis. It's just being consistent and just just showing up, being true to your craft. And frankly, Archana, it gives me great joy to write. So I was writing even when nobody was reading me, and now millions of people read me. I'm still writing, so it's not it's not something magical. It's just a series of steps which you diligently follow to get to somewhere you want to go.
In fact, I was going to come to that. You are packing, everyone has 24 hours, okay? And but you pack in so much in those 24 hours. You cook, you've spoken about how you do it, your own things, take your dog for a walk, draw portraits, paint, cycle, and you also practice kindness because I remember reading how make things, you make gifts for your neighbors, for your friends, for your
Yeah, yeah.
close ones, and you also write. I mean, that's huge. So how do you make time? There are people who say, oh, but I don't get time to write because there's so much to do. Even if, well, writing is a passion with them. So what is a day in your life like? Do you manage to get even 8 hours of sleep?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Sleep is very important for me. Sleep is really, really important for me because if you mess with your sleep, you're messing with your health. And I'm huge on health and fitness, like you know.
Yes,
So seven
yes.
8 hours of sleep is absolutely mandatory, and I get very cranky if I don't sleep. So if I'm smiling, it means I've slept. I've slept well. So how do I do so many things? So I wonder how people don't do so many things. So I honestly like, see, writing is my full time work. And if someone has a full time job, it's like asking them, okay, you have a full time job. How do you cook? How do you paint? So I think it depends on what you do to unwind. See, I might write sometimes for 8 hours a day. Sometimes I might write for 5 hours a day. And a day has, if you deduct 8 hours for sleep, you still have so many hours left. What are you doing with
Yes.
your time? I don't understand what I don't understand how people are not getting time. Now we don't even have to commute. We are at home all the time. And don't you get bored if you just if you do nothing? How can people do nothing? Because I can't
Yes.
sit still. I can't do I can't be without doing anything. So I do my yoga, I do my meditation, and all of that to calm down.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's how
Okay.
it is. And
Okay.
cooking, like I've talked about it in this book also. So that I learned early on because I never had a mother-in-law staying with me. I never had my mom staying with me. I had to raise two kids on my own. So you can do all these things like, say, stock your fridge with say dosa batter or boiled
Hmm.
potatoes, boiled chana. So then cooking hardly takes, it's all about efficiency. Then cooking
Yes.
takes about 25 minutes because I make quick meals, healthy meals. I don't like to spend time in the kitchen. I don't want to stay there and make,
Yes.
I don't want to spend for 3, 4 hours in the kitchen. So I think it's just managing the processes efficiently. That's all it is.
Wonderful, wonderful. You, in fact, spoken about your love for journals and notebooks and how you pick up, journals on your travels and start a new notebook when you begin a new novel.
Yeah.
In fact, I wanted to take a peek into one of your journals just to see how it is because you illustrate, you do so many
Yeah.
things with it.
Yeah.
And do you also sketch, portraits of your characters? I believe you studied portraiture, right? And
Yes.
do you handwrite your story first?
See, only the outline is handwritten, and
Hmm. Okay.
so that will just be scribbles. People won't even
Okay.
understand what I've written. It will just be
Okay.
a scribbled outline full of notes. And that's actually different from my illustrated journal. So,
Okay.
illustrated journaling I started because I absolutely fell in love with it when I discovered it. So, see, it's things like this. So, it's a part collage, part illustrated journal. It would be something that
Oh,
happened in my day.
lovely. That's lovely.
So,
Beautiful.
oh, thank you.
Lovely.
So it will be something I want to remember. So this is Serene. So it was just an
Oh,
ordinary day. And then it was a nice book that I read on some days. So this is AJ, Story Life of
okay.
AJ.
Okay. Wonderful. How
Yeah, it's
lovely. Yes, yes.
relaxing.
Very inspirational. Very
Yeah, it's very
inspirational. Thanks for showing us that. Thank you
oh,
so much.
not at all. Because at the end of the day, I like to just sit down, and it's my way of unwinding. Because when I sit and draw, you're also
Yes.
processing what happened. You're creating a memory. you're creating a memory of something. See, it's like this. So something that happened, it was this time I was watching this show called Rita. It was a Danish TV series.
Okay.
So, and then now I'm doing Inktober because in October every year, people all over the world draw with ink. So every day I'm
Okay.
putting out a drawing on my Twitter. So see, this is
Oh,
my journey.
lovely.
So every day you're given
Very
a
nice.
prompt. Every day you're given a prompt. And
Beautiful. Beautiful. Very nice. Very
thank you.
nice. How long does a portrait take for you?
It depends on the portrait. Maybe this took half an hour. This is done with only a ballpoint pen. So this is all
Wow.
ink. This took much less. Actually, this looks very intricate, but this one was actually easy to do.
Oh, oh.
So yeah,
Beautiful, Preeti. That's beautiful. Thanks so much for sharing. Thanks so much.
not at
Uh,
all.
you have written a self-help book. Now, I want to know which three self-help books changed your life, if they did, and in what way? And what are you reading now?
Right now, I'm reading a French author called Marc Levi or Marc Levy. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's
Okay.
Marclevy. Beautiful,
Okay.
beautiful story. I love his work. So right now, I'm reading fiction. Three
Okay.
self-help books which changed my life. See, I read this self-help book when I was in my 20s, and I have shared all of them in this Magic Mindset. Magic Mindset has a
Yes.
lot of book recommendations. So one of the
Oh,
books was "Don't Say Yes When You Want to Say No," and
okay.
that's I feel that was a game changer for me when I was in my 20s because I followed diligently all those exercises that really helped me. And then there was another book I read, How to Win Friends and Influence People,
Yes.
which is relevant
Yes.
even today. Carnegie, you can read it even today. And then there was a third book, probably maybe third and fourth book, which again my dad had recommended, so it's very close to my heart. So the book is Who Will Cry When You Die by Robin Sharma.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It didn't
Yes.
actually change my life, but I saw my father reading it and I laughed at him. I said, "Hey, daddy, why are you reading this book? Who will cry when you die?"
Hmm.
And he passed away. And that was I can't tell you how deep it hit because, and that book, he has signed it and he's put the date and all of it. And I felt like it
Okay.
was a message or something like that. And then, of course, Mitch Albom, he's my all time favorite author. I
Yes.
absolutely love his book.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yes.
those are the books which I would say deeply influenced me. Growing up, when I was growing up, not now.
Okay. 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 You are blessed to never have a writer's block, and I know you've been asked this question several times, and you also advocate, describing a scene as you would to a visually challenged person. But I want to know, does it ever happen that, the story doesn't move forward and you are stuck? You don't know what to do. The narrative doesn't move forward. If that ever happens, has it ever happened? And if that happens, how do you resolve that? How do
So
you
I
tide over that?
Yeah, so I always feel that see, if that has ever happened to you, then the problem doesn't lie there. Okay, the
Hmm.
problem lies four chapters before it, or maybe six chapters before it. If the story is not moving, then something isn't working. Something clearly
Okay.
isn't working. So, and if it
Hmm.
doesn't work, you have to go back and examine why is it not working. So what is it? Maybe you have not fleshed out the character. Maybe you're not letting the character do what they want. So while I have never faced a writer's block, yeah, it has happened to me sometimes that I say, okay, this is not working. So then I let the character do what they want. You just leave your characters free. Let them do what they want. Don't try to censor what is coming into your head and
Okay.
write properly. And for anyone who says it's not working, that means you have not either fleshed out the characters or you have not done enough research of the world. Have you answered all the question about the world in which you are basing the characters? Have you have your secondary characters, have you developed them enough? Do they feel real or do they feel like cardboard characters? So there are
Hmm.
all these questions that you can ask yourself, and usually the problem lies much, much, much earlier. It doesn't happen at that time. So why are you blocked? It's because you've been clogging the drain with maybe voices in your head, maybe not enough research. There could be so many things, Archana. And what I
Yes.
highly recommend is leave the book alone. And sometimes if
Okay.
it's not working, it's
Okay.
just not working. Just start a new one. Just start a new one. If it doesn't work,
Okay.
then it maybe that was not the story meant to be told.
Okay. Okay. That's a wonderful tip. Now, I want to know, has the magic mindset helped you achieve any of the goals that you felt were very tough to achieve? Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, yes, I think it has absolutely helped me achieve all my goals, to be honest, and that I frankly shared in the book. See, at one point in my life, I couldn't say no. And it's not that I can say no all the time. I have shared an incident in this book which happened to me, like, say, 6, 7 years back. Maybe it was at my fourth or the fifth book launch, where a fan hounded me for, I had signed so many books, I had posed for so many photographs, and this fan
Oh,
wouldn't leave me alone. And it just, even to this day, I'm angry when I think of that memory, because he ruined it completely for me, just because I
oh,
didn't know to say no. I did not know to say, hello, I have done what you wanted me to do, now
okay.
thank you very much. I didn't know it, so I have shared all of that frankly in this book, and many incidents like that, many incidents like that. So yeah, this book is definitely I mean, I've shared whatever helped me to achieve my goals, and it's my sincere hope that it helps whoever reads it.
Just three quick questions, rapid fire, because we're almost at the end of the session. What is your happy place?
Oh, it's completely my room, my den. Like, it's my bed, it's my desk, it's my journals, it's my art, and yeah, that's my happy place.
Okay. What are the three qualities that an aspiring writer must possess?
The one is definitely the love for writing. Two is discipline. Three is deep empathy and understanding.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you mentioned that you don't watch television at all. That's a huge tip for writers. So, how do you unwind?
I watch TV shows. I don't watch television. Like, if by television, I say I don't watch Times Now and someone screaming at others and all of that. But I watch
Okay,
quality TV shows. I watch movies. I read. I listen
okay.
to music. I go for walks, and that's how I paint. That's how I unwind. Yoga.
Can we expect an illustrated travelogue from you in the future? Because you travel and you illustrate, you draw on location.
Yeah, yeah. If any publisher wants to publish, I'm more than happy. Please send me an offer. More
What are
than
you
happy.
working on now?
It's actually, I've just finished writing my next book, which is a fiction book, which will be published by HarperCollins in April 2021. It'll be out in April 2021. Just finished
You
the
have,
first.
okay, great. You have a fabulous relationship, very interactive relationship with your readers. So, what do you also have to play agony aunt? Because you get a lot of questions, right? And they think you have a prescription for everything. So, do you have to do that?
Yeah, some of the very young ones do, because sometimes they have problems they can't share with anyone. They're not close enough to their parents. And then I feel, okay, they're asking me for advice, and they're very young kids. They'll be like 20, they'll be like 19. And it's
Yes,
a big
yes,
thing for them to write to an author and open up. So imagine opening up about your deepest
yes, yes.
feelings. And then I do tell them that, listen, this is what worked for me, or usually I would have blogged about it. So I just
Okay.
point them to an article, and I'll say, I hope it helps.
Last question, Preeti. A magic mindset is hard work, a lot of practice, a paradigm shift in perspective. So, how can the magic mindset contribute to building a purposeful and joyous life? And can we all hope to have a happy place to live in?
100%, 100%, because your happy place is in your head. So if you change your thinking, if you just change the way you look at things, you are definite to make a change in your life. And that's entirely what this book is about. And it gives practical steps. So it's not some manifestation voodoo, wishy-washy ideas which you can't.
Yes,
Absolutely
yes,
practical daily steps, things that you can use in your daily life, and it helps
yes,
you helps you feel better. And about ordinary people who did extraordinary things, because many of the stories that I mentioned, apart from my own life, I have shared stories of unknown people, and they achieved the seemingly impossible only because of their mindset. And if they can do it,
yes,
like there's an 83-year-old weightlifting granny, if she can do it, what's stopping us?
yes, yes. Preeti, and thank you for the 14-day challenge that's at the end of the book. I'm going to begin doing that from Monday onwards. And all the very best to you. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for talking to shethepeople.tv. And thank you, viewers, for joining us. Thanks a ton, Preeti. Thanks a ton.
Thank you for a wonderful session, Archana. It was a pleasure talking to you.